Hello there and welcome to episode 20 of the Not So Casual Gamer podcast. 20.
20!
20's plenty.
Oh, I didn't realise we were already at 20.
How are you doing today, Lewis?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. A little bit tired, working in the mornings.
Yeah, it's that Christmas rush,
Yeah, it's all happening. Lots of things going on, But ready to do a podcast.
Yeah, no, I've been looking forward to getting to actually sit down and talk about the episode today.
Yeah, we're going to be interesting stuff.
Yes, well, we're going to be talking about the future innovations in video games. Because we are the scientific source of all things accurate and reputable, of course. So take our words as gospel. So yes, no, we're just so things that we're looking forward to. The possibilities are endless. So,
yeah, we're going to ponder. But also look back and just weigh things up.
Yeah.
See where it might go.
Mm-hmm. We're getting to the end of the year. We've got one more episode in the year after this. We'll kind of be talking about sort of reflecting on 2021 as a year in gaming. So looking forward to that one as well.
I've always give our favourite games of the year.
Yeah. I've always wanted to. I've listened to other podcasts do that roundup of the year, and I'm like, ooh, we can now do that. And I kind of forgot about that as well. Like I did forget that we can technically do that with our small but loyal audience. Thank you, all three of you. So
3
times 10.
I suppose I'm going to say that.
Anyway, but we'll start off as we usually do with the games that we've been playing. Now, mine's has been slightly more limited than I'm imagining yours.
I mean, I've just got the usual
mishmash and bits
dotted
and bobs
things. Yeah. It's
well,
not even that much.
Fair. Well, I'll just go first. I'll just do all mine because it's 2. So a bit more Riders Republic, but I've actually hardly touched that in the last week or so. Not for lack of wanting to.
There's been reasons.
For good reasons. I'm still thoroughly enjoying it, but it's definitely one of those games that I don't need to complete. I don't need to complete right now. I'll just
chip away,
jump in. Just I fancy an hour here. Perfect. Like I said, I think until something like Skate comes along, it's kind of going to be that. Thing. Well, yeah, it's going to be that sort of stays on the console the whole time. All things going well, unless there's a real kind of replacement for it, because it's just like a feel good jump in kind of game. So not much more to say on it. Really good fun. I think it's in the Game of the Year sale, like the Game Awards sale on PlayStation just now. Probably for the same price I got it for, so definitely worth it, I would say, at that price. And but the main story for me playing is the launch of Warzone Pacific, the new Warzone Caldera map. I've played probably 4 good sessions. I've been really busy over the weekend, so I've not. There was 2 days where I didn't even touch it over the weekend there.
Still managed to get going with it though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say probably played for 10 hours, 12 hours.
It's a decent whack.
It's still a decent whack. Do you know what I mean? Like it is.
I got like half an hour.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. Like I played 4 sessions. I've won a game each night.
Oh,
so
wow.
Currently on a.
Well, I guess if everyone is kind of still a bit of a shot in the dark, so it's like leveled the playing field. So if you actually are a competent player, you're gonna pwn. There's now a bigger bracket. There'll be a lot of newer players as well.
Yeah.
It's
definitely good. We finished off in Verdansk. I played with some friends.
I even had a goodbye.
You had a goodbye to Verdansk, of course.
Weeks.
And yeah, because we continued playing after that. I didn't tell you this, but because we didn't really get any wins with you. And then my last 2 games,
I'll take it.
Oh, for sure. My last 2 games on that play session before I went to work were back-to-back wins. So I was thinking, because that night there was the end of Verdansk event going on, and I was thinking that's a great way to end it. Mm-hmm. This event will take over the regular playlist as the Zombies event did in the past. It was the only thing you could play that day. and you'd play it a couple of times, and then you would like log off, and then you would just come off for the on for the new bit. But so I was thinking this is going to be the same. We'll play some of the new game mode, but at least I finished off with 2 wins. This is great. And then it turns out for the event was fun, but they also kept regular Battle Royale in there. So I had a couple more days before 2 more days before the map launched. So I was like, oh, well, I'll play more. And Richard Kerry and I played on the last night. And I think everyone in their gran was on.
Yeah.
And it was so sweaty, man. Like, it was just so tough. And it was almost like, you should have ended it on those 2 wins, because it was just literally getting just slapped out straight away by the sweatiest. Like, we got killed by a streamer, and we tuned in. He was on Facebook Gaming, like with like 600 viewers and stuff like that, because he had fb.gg in his clan tag, which is Facebook Gaming.
Yeah.
It was definitely a night to. It was almost as if like Verdansk was trying to frustrate you so much that you were like, oh, I hate this. Give me the new map. I don't want to see this anymore.
Fitting.
Very fitting. I said, well, that's what we said. It was very fitting for. It wouldn't be an evening in Verdansk if it wasn't getting absolutely rattled. So, but yeah, the new map's out, and I've not explored all of it yet. There's definite areas that I have regularly been at that I get absolutely demolished in. So I know where to avoid.
Seems a bit more daunting in my brief time in there.
Well, I think that there's, definitely is, and I don't know if that's just down to the map design or just the lack of knowledge in it.
Well, yes, definitely that, but I think because it is kind of so much of it is foliage based and kind of uneven terrain, and it probably does. It's going to make it more interesting.
I think it is. Like, for example, in Verdansk, it was always the outskirts of the map were where your sort of areas of natural height, where your hills, your mountains, and things like that. Whereas in this, it's flat. It's an island, so it's a volcano. Yeah. It's flat around the outside and moves up to a peak.
Quite a definitive, like Lost in the Jungle feel.
Yes, yeah. You need to be a bit more careful moving through. I was thinking, this is going to be really quite easy to maneuver because it's quite well covered. And in some instances, it is. You can use the thick vegetation to your advantage, but other times you could just be running in a straight line, and there's just a team just to your right that you just haven't seen because they're also in as much cover as you are.
Surely everybody is in foliage camo now.
Yeah, no, not everyone, and I think that's people are just slowly starting to. The more I play, the more I start to see people like take the foliage. But yeah, there's a couple of areas that we've dropped. I'm sure. If I'm guessing where your eye went to straight away on the map, it was Arsenal.
Well, I didn't.
You didn't know? Up the north of the map, there's a place called Arsenal. So
Arsenal.
that's like our favorite drop spot just now. It's quite like Port.
Well, that's fun.
Which I thought was quite fitting. So that we'll need to drop in our. But we do drop, and we're like, where are we dropping? And then we will all just go Arsenal, Arsenal. So that's our homage to you in that there. So really enjoying it. I'm liking the new guns. The people that are crying about it in typical internet fashion are just people that were really, really good on one map and now they need to learn a new one and they're sad, so they're just idiots. Like,
this is how the modern age is. There will be a loud segment of people for everything that it will seem like it's the worst thing ever. For sure, because everyone I've spoken to in actual anecdotal conversation that's played it are really enjoying it. I felt like so obviously I only did the 2 solo-y game things. Yeah. We tried to get a game, but it just didn't work out timing wise with work and stuff, but that's all good. It seemed like it was quite a good gulag. Oh, the gulag's amazing, man. I won one. I love it. I won my first 3 in it, so I was feeling good on it. But nice, it's just nice and tight. And that's it. That's been the main issue that I've had with the gulags, is because you're using guns that are not, no attachments, or not guns you normally use, sometimes like shotguns and stuff. There's always in these gulags, bar one in the Black Ops sort of era of Warzone, that it's like long lanes. Yeah, you can get quite close quarters, but there's always sort of fairly long lanes that
I would struggle in. And then there was a map, the second to last one or the last one before the Gulag showers came back, and it was like a paintball arena, like one of the maps from Black Ops. And it was really, really tight and small, and that's the one I did best in. So this is definitely, feeling like that. So I'm really, really enjoying it. I think they've learned some good stuff. There's a couple of bits like the loadout change. You can't buy a loadout until after the free one drops anymore, which can kind of slow down the beginning. Like I don't find unless I've got very specific gun. I've like found the ground loot that I find really comfortable, and unless I've got those guns, I'm camping until I can just get a box. So it kind of slows the beginning down unless I've got those guns, and then I'm happy to like pick up a bounty and push people. I think I can
kind of see why they maybe did it though, because it probably got to a point where the regular players in Warzone were just getting so adept and quick at being right in it and just being so like on top of you and just mauling everyone that they probably wanted to rein it back in for at least the start of the game and kind of
No, I think overall I do like it. I'm more positive than negative on it. It's still just I've played however many games, it'll evolve. The tactics will change, but yeah, thoroughly enjoying it. Looking forward to playing more. Kerry was a little bit more question mark on it, but I think she was just missing Verdansk. But also keep in mind that we didn't start playing until maybe 4 months into Warzone being out. Myself, and then maybe 5 months for you guys, giving me a couple of weeks where I was playing myself or with Richard. And then even still, as much as Kerry has played a lot of Verdansk, I've still played like double the amount than her even. So I was more ready to get into the new map than I think she was.
Absolutely.
But last night we played and she was having a good time. And then even just before we started, she was like, what time you finish tonight so we can jump on and stuff. So, definitely coming around to it a bit more as well.
It'd be good to get a proper game in.
Yeah, we will. We will.
I think it'll bring back some of the kind of that cooperative fun for me again. Just the kind of the fear of the unknown.
It's hectic. It definitely is. There's moments of real hectic, but there's some awesome ability for outplay, for flanking enemies and moving uphill while they're so focused downhill that you can sneak around and actually end up getting height on them as well. You can kind of play this sort of cat and mouse game cool. Quite effectively, and I'm sure I'll sort of fill in. It'll be obviously the main kind of thing I'm playing pretty much from now. I've not even looked at Halo Infinite campaign yet. I just don't have the. Like I said, I'm not saying that 10 hours in the new map in a week isn't that much. But
you fairly blitzed Halo. I think you can deserve a break.
Well, that's it, exactly, and I did that as well. I'm excited to play it, but I don't have the time in the slightest.
It'll be there. Waiting.
New Year. I've got a lot of time in the new year, so I'm going to use it then.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably the same for me.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's. I'll report back on my findings as I discover. But Mon the Arsenal.
The
area of the Caldera map, not the football team. No, I'm just kidding. You can mon them as well. I don't care.
Moan the Arsenal.
Do you mind moaning them, please? Moan the Arsenal. Thank you.
Right, let's get this back on track. My other ones are kind of not, because obviously Warzone being a small one for me.
Yep.
Really just other kind of small ones. Finally tried Sea of Thieves with Cal from work.
Cool.
Because we were just like, I once and for all, I want to see if this is worth it at all.
Okay.
And we were saying, what can we do? We've been meaning to catch up and play something again for ages. You dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I feared it might be, which is just kind of vague, uneventful nonsense.
The gameplay is definitely created from the people you're playing with. I feel like the core game. I think if you've got
I'm just not that into it. Like, I seriously. I mean, maybe it's a kids thing. Maybe it's just these types of games these days. Your whippersnappers playing your State of Decays and stuff. It's like they just find something about being in those things and doing basically nothing.
Well, that's it. That's
to no end is fun, but I just don't see it. I don't There's nothing grabbing me. There's nothing that jumps out. Nothing happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I deleted it off my system.
Yeah, no, I just, you know, I was like, I just want to see what this piratey thing actually does. Turns out nothing. So don't worry about that.
Sea of Thieves fans are like, it does more than nothing.
Well, you know, get some real taste.
Yeah.
If I'm being blunt and angry about things once again, you know what I'm saying? Pretty sure we don't have any Sea of Thieves fans listening.
Nah.
Anyway, enough of that. Really, just finished XO1, which is like, great, cool. That's one for me. Other than that, the only other thing is going to be mentioned in the main topic because it's relevant to it.
Yes, that was another one for me, but I've saved it. Yep.
Before we move on, though, just want to briefly touch on the fact that the VGAs did happen.
Ugh.
So, you know, we caught some, air quotes, highlights.
Yes.
We did not watch a full thing because it was 4 hours.
I've not seen a snippet of it. Because it was.
Well, I mean, apart from obviously like the trailers.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the trailer, but like the actual footage from the event, nothing. I've shied away from it.
It's just
I heard so much negativity towards it.
It's just such a cringy, bloated mess of a thing. Just
you were saying it was 4 hours long.
4 hours, and it opened with a really bizarre, terrible performance by Sting. I think he was singing a song that he had done for League of Legends.
Oh, what?
And he was like going out off key and everything. It was just bad. He didn't even sound like Sting anymore. He's completely lost that signature voice. It's weird.
That's crazy. I saw him a couple of years ago with Paul Simon, and he was amazing.
I mean, what is he, 70 now? Like
probably, but he was incredible a couple of years ago. But
maybe it's because he was reading it in. It's like a kind of not a up tempo. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, terrible show.
It's because he didn't have Shaggy with him.
Obviously.
Oh, that was it. League of Legends featuring Shaggy. That's what you need.
What, Shaggy? Come and sing a song with me.
Come on, Sting. I can't do a Shaggy impression. That's as close as you're getting.
Yeah, well, you know, that kind of sums up the type of show it was and why it's not worth watching. There was one or two
announcement-wise,
things.
Obviously the big one for me was Star Wars Eclipse.
Totally.
Quantic Dreams.
Yeah, very interesting.
Thoroughly enjoyed Detroit Become Human, so to see them have a stab at High Republic era Star Wars, ho ho ho! And because the High Republic is a very new element to the Star Wars canon. Like it's just some novels. Those are the ones I've not read yet. I've not had a chance to sit down and read them. I've not really read much at all because I like to try and read some of the highly regarded Star Wars novels, but I'm just not a reader. That's been my main issue. Like comics and stuff, like I'll jump into the comics and all that, and there are some High Republic things with that. But I'm looking forward to seeing, sort of fully realized.
Yeah, no, I'm partial to whatever Quantic Dreams are up to. So I'll be keeping a keen eye to see how this turns because it's so intriguing.
Yes,
I mean, as you know, I'm never really one for Star Wars things, but Quantic Dream, so we'll see.
Yep.
Other than that, like I didn't like make a list or anything. The only other two things off the top of my head that were like really kind of shit, here we go for me. Big ones. First gameplay of Hellblade 2, which is in Unreal Engine 5.
Is it 5? Okay. Nice.
Did you see it?
No, I've not seen the trailer.
Oh my goodness me!
I'll watch it after. I will watch.
I don't think you've played the first one.
No.
Probably won't need to. You could probably just read up on it if you're going to play the second one. But it's like, oh wow, oh golly. Now, obviously, games that have first reveals and are still a ways off, they often have graphical downgrades. This is a known quantity from big showcase reveals or whatever. So there's a good chance it won't remain looking like this, but it's like you just can't believe that this is actually an engine.
Okay.
Which is obviously the same engine, which we're about to talk about again. Before we talk about that,
spoiler alert. Yeah, I'm just having a wee look at the list here. I've not actually there's gameplay trailers that I have to still watch.
Shout out anything you think I should talk about, but have forgotten. Because for me, the only one I can think of is Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2.
Oh my goodness me, Alan Wake 2. Give me some of that, put it in my veins right about now.
Apparently very horror-based, not action-based.
Well, yeah, they've straight up said this is going to be a full-on survival horror game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, put it in my damn veins right about now.
Right about now, King Kong. So... Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Been hearing good things about the gameplay trailer for that. I know it's not necessarily up your alley, but I didn't watch it. I've not seen the trailer.
There's a lot I didn't see.
I need to catch up on all of this, which is so terrible for me as having a gaming podcast that I haven't done this. But
we've acknowledged it.
We've acknowledged it. A CG trailer for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's
Wolverine will be fine.
Yeah,
Don't need
from the developers of the Middle Earth games, Monolith Productions.
That's right.
Alan Wake 2, as you said, Forspoken.
I saw the gameplay thing for that, and I'm just like, no. Forspoken is not going to be something.
At first glance, when we saw it the first time, it looked great. And then you saw more, and you were like, "Oh, this is really quite cringy, like dialogue-wise."
Yeah, it just kind of looks boring.
Hellblade 2, as you mentioned, Halo the TV show. Interesting. I've not seen the trailer.
Sure,
for that.
Whatever.
An Elden Ring story trailer, Sonic Frontiers. Did you see that? I saw that trailer. Open world Sonic game.
Right. I know. I never saw that.
Question mark on that.
Yeah.
We'll see how that is. It's playing things on my phone. Let's put the volume down on that. It was from this article here on Polygon. Slitterhead.
Oh, yeah.
No idea. Lord of the Rings Gollum. I've not seen the trailer for it yet. Although
still no gameplay though.
Sorry to reference another podcast, but on Sacred Symbols last week, I have
actually been listening again.
Okay,
begrudgingly.
Shout out them. Obviously. Chris said that all he could see when Gollum came into the light at the beginning of the trailer that he was an anemic Tommy Pickles. So that's ruined me ever playing that game. No,
I genuinely think there's a chance that the design of Gollum will now change.
Because of that?
Yes! This is what happens these days. Like, because that'll catch on.
Aye.
And it'll just become an internet known thing. And don't be surprised if the design changes.
And then Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Again, I woke up the next morning. I was working like an hour after I woke up. So I just had breakfast, watched like the first 3 trailers that were on. And it was Star Wars, obviously. Sonic and Alan Wake 2, I think I watched. Yeah, there's not much else. There's a new Telltale series.
Oh, yeah. So when did they come back? I thought they were dead.
No, they came back because they came back to finish the final Walking Dead season.
And they did?
Yeah.
What a weird...
Shows how much we noticed about that. Tunic, Zelda-like game, Crossfire X, just PUBG Battlegrounds going free to play. Who cares? Cuphead DLC. I know that people are very excited for that. That trailer I did see. That is an incredible trailer. I mean, I love that game, having never played it. And I never probably will. It's so hard. I have played it, right? That's not fair. And my friend Duncan has recently just completed it like 3 times.
Oh my God.
For the first time. He plays a lot of the Souls games.
Hey Duncan, how the hell are you so good at games, man? How you do that?
He's been playing co-op, and I've said to him, Can I just play this co-op with you? At least just for like a couple of hours.
I'd like to try it.
Just so I can say that I've played it and played some bosses and
give it a good shot.
Because it's just probably the most beautiful game, like in motion, animation wise, ever.
I mean, I think
for me anyway.
It really all comes down to art direction.
It does come down to art direction, but that's interesting.
They've nailed it,
that we can talk about this in our innovation. That's innovation for bringing a hand-drawn 1930s animation style to a video game. You're bringing old with the new, you know what I mean? Like, so there's, that's interesting as well. Nothing much more. There's a Dune game.
Oh, if it's an RTS though.
Oh, is that an RTS? Well, that can go in the bin. Nothing much. And then just a lot of cringy advertisements and presentations, and wasn't good from what I heard. But Game of the Year went to It Takes Two.
Well, I was literally about to ask you whether we should save that for the next podcast.
We'll save it for the next podcast
because actually, that'll come up. I feel like this is probably the case for you. For me, that will be very high up there.
Yep.
If not,
yeah,
we'll save it. We'll save it.
See you next week. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. So let's just jump into the topic then, anyway. Unless you've got more that you've been playing, but
no.
Well, we do. Well, how about we just segue in with that last thing that we've been playing? We can kind of start to talk about that.
So you played through it?
Played it this morning.
Ah, okay.
In anticipation of today's episode, because I forgot about it, in all honesty. But to kickstart this conversation, effectively, the Unreal Engine 5 released a tech demo under the Matrix banner, just sort of showing off some motion capture humans,
the realist looking
CG, some cutscenes, and then an open world, bare bones open world.
There was a chase.
A chase scene with some very, very basic gunplay, and then a open world sort of exploration section that you can kind of just play around with until your heart's content. So
I don't know about you, I only spent like 10 minutes in that.
Yeah, probably same with me. There's not, once you've seen it kind of thing. But top level, what were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's exciting to know just how fully realised game worlds are going to be able to be. And to actually tangibly run around and be like, right, this is it, it's here, Unreal Engine 5.
Was every shot of Keanu Reeves at the beginning a character model?
Yes.
Or did it transition from live action to... Because at first I could not tell. And then there was a moment that I could start to tell. And maybe it was just my eyes adjusting to it. But that first shot...
When there was more on the screen, you could tell. When there was more going on.
More on the screen, absolutely. But that close-up, when it was like sort of torso up, was that a character model?
It threw me at first, yeah.
Because I was thinking...
That was like the most Uncanny Valley thing I think I've ever seen.
But it's actually past the point of Uncanny Valley. Because Uncanny Valley would be that that there's something wrong.
Well, I still had the twinge.
Okay, I didn't have the twinge, so that might have just been Canny Valley to me. I don't know, but like... Because I was like... This is just...
Oh, Canny Valley.
I Canny Valley that. No, this is... But then this was legitimately just me. I thought I was just watching a live action footage of Keanu Reeves introducing what I was about to see.
There might have... Did he not like bring his own live action self in with it at the same time or something at one point? Or
I don't know. Digital Foundry made a 50-minute long video, so
Jesus.
I'll need to scour that a little bit just to get some answers, because I don't know is the honest answer. But my goodness, was I just sort of glued to what I was seeing? It was incredible. I actually kind of want to play play it again, just for like that chase sequence, because there was so much I was just not seeing, because there was just so much going on the screen. But it's effectively, it's like, what was like 25 gigabytes download for like a 15-minute thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good omen or a bad omen for what we need the size of games to be to innovate on. Like, so top level, we're talking about the future of video games. This is a great starting off point, because it's kind of showing us what, a company like, Epic or with Unreal Engine are proposing that the future will be. Now, I understand that the actual engine itself is very easy, quote unquote, very easy to use for people who obviously have experience in it, but apparently it's very user friendly.
Yeah, tools that are just can make things copyable. And
so the top level for me would say that something like Unreal Engine 5 becoming more accessible to smaller teams would indicate that we have the indie level storytelling, but that can now maybe be done on what looks to be a more AAA,
just extreme levels of polish.
Level of polish. Not that indie games aren't polished. There's a lot of very high polished indie games, but this now could potentially open the door for these indie games to...
Just makes it easier
to do that. So that's one thing, as I was playing it, thinking
totally
that's where we're going to see... We might not see games that are dramatically different from these smaller teams from maybe what we're seeing from bigger teams, but maybe this allows the small teams to rise up in quality and the bigger teams to rise up even higher. So we see the big teams push on, and we see the indie teams kind of catch up. That sounds quite, derogatory towards them. I don't mean it like that.
No, I know what you mean.
But you understand what I'm saying. Couple of things though. As soon as it went into the open world bit, the open world was very impressive. Did you play around with like the nanites?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of flicked it on and off everything.
Mm-hmm. So cool to see, the way that it renders things out in the distance and closer, and it gave you a good sort of, insight as to how that worked.
To me, the most impressive thing that it's able to do is like that like temporal super resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It really, when you flick it on and off, it really shows you just how much it cleans things up.
Yes.
Because, up until now, in a lot of games, you'll just see a lot of kind of sugary dancing lines and just kind of jaggy things.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way to...
Definitely. Like, it was almost... It wasn't noticeable in in a good way. Like, what I mean is, like, I didn't pick up on that because it was doing its job. It wasn't making these...
It's about like a good rhythm section. If you don't notice it, then they're just doing what it needs to do.
Exactly. So I turned off the matrix filter on it in the open world bit because that's just green and I don't like that. Also, sorry, but the matrix is kind of trash, but like, no, it's not. It's not fair. Matrix 1 is good, 2 is all right, 3 is garbage. Not interested in this new one.
No.
So it's definitely always been downhill. So, okay, would I have rather maybe a different property show me that? Okay, maybe yes, but I don't really care overall. Well, that's not what we're...
It would have been really cool if they'd given us that original UE5 demo that they did.
Exactly, yeah. That's probably
Why couldn't
what
they give
I'd
us
rather...
that?
That's probably what I'd rather have seen, but like, I sort of flew about in the open world bit at the end. There was a couple of bits that at first I was like, I'm not into that, or could they not have done that better? And then I realised this is just a tech demo. That's not what it's going to be.
Some bits will just have been thrown in.
Well, that's it. Well, like, for example, running past, like, you can see the interiors of buildings and it's just like a sign is like 4 literal pixels and squares. Like, it's like really, really... But I was like, nah, that's just probably AI throwing it in there just to get this out for 15 minutes. So I was like, no, don't judge this too harshly. That's not fair. Because that's what people will do. They'll be like, this is meant to be Unreal Engine 5 and that's pixelated in there. Fix that, And it's like, hey, this is a free tech demo. Like, get over yourself. But I flew up to the top of the tallest building. I don't know if you did. And there was a wee plaque there that said there are 7,000 buildings in this tech demo. And you're at the tallest point, 456 meters up. 7,000 buildings. And I believe the placement and layout of it was done by AI. A lot of it.
Probably. Sounds about right.
Because I think that's what they said in that wee credits bit, or not credits, but like showing you like the sort of, and you could toggle things on and off as it was going past it. I think it was saying that like layout and stuff can be done by AI as well. So, that wasn't painstakingly, building 7,000 models weren't modeled by hand.
Yeah, I mean,
it was all, pictures,
the whole idea is that we're moving into an age where you'll be able to just get bigger, more detail in just the same amount of time or less. Like we said earlier, it's just going to be easier for developers, and that's good.
Yeah,
but I think it's still good. It's kind of relative to our expectations because you'll always have showcase games where it's like the ultimate kind of cinematic, like, oh my god, this just looks like real life. But it's kind of, there's still not much. The ultimate example of that 5 years ago was The Order.
Yes.
1986, which actually I have a soft spot for.
Yeah.
Just because, it's, to be honest, it is something a bit different because not many games are bold enough to go the route of, right, we're just going to do a 5-hour, just like full on focus on the cinematic thing and like that's it. That's what you're getting. You enjoy that for what it is or go away.
Yeah.
But, it's exciting because it just means more power to be allocated to other things, and
no, it's definitely it's exciting. It was impressive to play, and I'd recommend anyone that's got a PS5 or a Series X to go and try it. But it wasn't. It was kind of what I was expecting, but not in a bad way. I think I was like, yep, okay, good. I'm glad it's going this way. It's nice to see. I mean, well, I say that I was blown away by the character models at the beginning, so I'll give it credit there. But the open world section, I was kind of like, cool. I could, all I was thinking during that was, this would be cool if I was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Swinging about here, this would be cool. I'd like to swing about here as Spider-Man. So, that's cool. But they've realized New York so well in that. But if they could get the full island of Manhattan in, like to scale, street by street, rather than a condensed version of it. I know they're not using Unreal Engine 5, but the technology, we have the technology.
Something tells me that won't quite happen yet in Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2. Well, who knows?
It might.
It might. Because it's a fun world to traverse, so make it bigger. Then, I suppose what we can do is we can kind of look back. So, innovations...
How did we get to this point?
How did we get to this point? What are your kind of standout...
Well, you kind of listed...
I listed a few before we started. But, obviously we're talking the kind of advent of... the 3D game coming in, obviously massive change in the industry with the N64 and the PS1 and things like that. But
there's been flashpoints.
Flashpoints for sure. Then, there's home consoles with the NES and all that. And then there's the Atari 2600 NES after that. And then,
I think 3D was probably the biggest one.
3D was the biggest one. And that's why when you go back to PS1 games, they're actually like the hardest to go back to, because they were like it was the equivalent of playing an Atari game to now. Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of what I would say, just because it's like so rudimentary, so primitive.
But I mean, I suppose with that happening though, and even, well, let's be honest, there was PS1 games that really, really pushed the medium forward in terms of maturity, because prior to 3D, it was like, well, they kind of just seem like novelties. Mm-hmm. Really, there's only so much you can do, and you can't really. I think it was very hard for developers to imagine the scope that they could have had with just 2D, in terms of storytelling and all that, and obviously the likes of Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1. Yeah. That's kind of my biggest example. Like, it's a PS1 game. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that.
Well, and especially how it's still so highly regarded for its story and its cinematic kind of qualities that we obviously have gravitated towards in our bigger games, or in any game really, is the storytelling aspect as well as gameplay, of course. But you could then look, obviously, as time goes on, we've got, just take PlayStation for example. You've obviously got generations. All the consoles kind of follow the same sort of generation anyway, bar Nintendo doing their own thing. But you've got PS1 to PS2, obviously a big jump. These are obviously innovations in their own way. Going to PS3 for HD, gaming, but and then PS4. But all that seems obviously quite incremental. They are all innovations in their own right, but you're thinking things like...
Well, tech's becoming more incremental now. It's like
that's it.
It's like diminishing returns, kinda. I mean, yeah, there's always going to be still nice leaps forward, but we kind of know what to expect now. Yeah, because I think the major gaps in technology in terms of just like generation to generation is like, oh my goodness, it's so different. Yeah, it's not kind of as different anymore.
No, but the generational jumps are kind of doing their own thing. Like, going from PS4 to PS5 is, I would just call it quality of life innovations. Like the SSD loading things so quick was just a total breath of fresh air. That was awesome. DualSense haptics and adaptive triggers are really, really interesting. These are ways that things can be pushed forward. Like it or hate it, motion controls, Wii remotes, PlayStation Move, that's all innovations. And the iToy, goodness sake, you know what I mean? Like,
everybody laughed at the Rumble Pack as well.
Oh yeah,
N64. That's just a gimmick.
And now we've got haptic feedback for like, I'm walking on sand and you can feel it in the controller.
Totally.
So yeah, there's...
Please give me Journey PS5. Please give me it, please.
Oh man, that would be so good.
Just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen because they've not even got.
They don't have the vision.
No.
The foresight.
No. So, that's kind of a very, there's not much to say because we know all of it. I mean, it's its own conversation. All the biggest innovations in gaming history. Probably should have done that first, in all honesty. But
I mean, yes, there's so much history. I think.
But everyone's spoken about it. I mean, like
we just kind of had to acknowledge it here. I mean, even just the likes of going from the arcade into the home is like that was such a huge novel thing. So exciting. Come on, and then handhelds, Game Boy.
Handhelds, of course.
1989 was the first Game Boy. Come on, it's crazy.
Handhelds, I totally didn't even think about that. Yeah,
and
the Switch going from a handheld to a home console, as much as it's got its limitations, is an innovation. Exactly. So that's that's a great point as well.
Although I think we do have to acknowledge the fact there that was kind of let's fix the approach that we did with the Wii U.
Oh, 100%.
I think they kind
that was reactionary.
Had the Wii U not happened, and it was like the Switch was after the Wii, there was just like a few more years, then it would have seemed more like a big wow moment. But I think because the Wii U happened, it was a bit more like a well done, you corrected course.
What's good what's good though is we know that, but the general public have never heard of a Wii U. So
actually, there's a lot of casuals that probably just don't even
know that there's a Nintendo console that existed.
Crazy. What was it, 10 million it sold or something?
I think 12 max.
Okay. Wow.
PlayStation 5 did that in like a month, I think, or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, maybe more than that. But yeah, definitely some, there's been some amazing innovations. We'll probably think of more as we kind of go. That's obviously not the focus of the episode, but
well, I think one big factor about I think it's here to stay and it's a current thing, but something that they did try many years ago, and it was like, let's just wait until we have the technology to do this properly, which is VR.
Oh yeah,
because of course there was the
Virtual Boy.
Yeah, Virtual Boy.
Yeah, the Nintendo Virtual Boy. Yeah. Which
was an interesting experiment. I think they could.
If you've never seen the Virtual Boy in action or kind of what it looked like with it, you should go and look it up because it's very, very interesting. It's like, it's as far as my memory is concerned, not that I've played it, but just from footage I've seen, is literally just like black and red lines, and you're to effectively fill in the gaps in your mind as to what's actually going on screen, because it's just like vector graphs and stuff like that you're just like in. But yeah, VR is obviously like a huge one. VR is kind of, we can kind of segue into that because, when I played VR for the first time, it was at the, I've said it on the podcast before, it was like an event in Glasgow, PlayStation.
It was the same for both of us.
Same for both of us, yeah. I just went myself and then...
Oh yeah, you went before me, right?
Took everyone that I could. I played Batman... Was Batman the first game I played? Yes. Batman Arkham VR was the first game I played.
Pretty cool start to have.
It was a good start to have because literally the demo that I played was purely just the like suiting up and going down into the Batcave, and then it stopped.
Tailor-made.
And I mean, just like I was just standing there, and the guy that was sort of helping at the booth was like laughing away because I was just down to my like utility belt and just throwing batarangs just around, and I was like, this is just incredible. This is it. Like this is it. This is it. This is the games, and obviously the PSVR has its limitations, and there's games that definitely work better than others on it, but to even see them try with certain games that maybe just miss the mark a little bit but are going to be so viable in the future is really exciting. Games, not that it's up my street, but the fact that Resident Evil 7 can be played front to back in VR is incredible. Yes, it's not the way to play it just now, but the promise that shows is really, really cool. And seeing things like, obviously Beat Saber, things that are just like a bit more static, a bit more standstill in VR are definitely where it shines at the moment for me. As soon as you add in, analog movement, it becomes quite tricky. Astrobot rescue mission was definitely one of the more like breathtaking ones that I've played. And all you're really doing with the VR headset is you're the camera.
Yeah.
You know, if you need to look around a corner, you need to lean forward and look around that corner.
But it's such an inherently cool concept.
Yes.
Almost like you are like the god in this world.
Yeah, you are,
and you just
same with like Moss and things like that. You know, you're in control here. You know,
it's really just about the sensation of being in the world. And I think leading on from that, we should just acknowledge the kind of vague thought that's on everyone's mind as it pertains to VR and what we ultimately want out of it, which is some way to replicate a full body like immersion.
yes,
Because everybody wants this, whether they think it's going to be dangerous to the culture or not.
the metaverse.
It's gonna happen, and we've got prototypes just now that work where it's like the chamber. You've got some sort of suit or whatever, and you can kind of run on the spot, and you're
it's like
physically
almost like a treadmill, and you're sort of bound at the hips and things
which
like that.
is so cool.
Yeah.
And I think I probably did my whole little spiel on it in a previous episode about how I would like even things for like a good version of the Tony Hawk ride in VR, but on the skateboard peripheral. This is the thing, the technology will need to be so advanced for these things to actually work well.
And probably, I mean, it'll be...
Because there's even like safety concerns about that. How would you implement this without it being a complete disaster, you know?
But also, you know what you're thinking, obviously, that goes into that is, all your moving parts, the actual VR game itself, the peripheral, but also, for real immersion, you need some level of high-end haptics in there that when you land, you feel this thud, you feel this sensation of landing or landing on a rail and the sort of the scraping of metal against metal, and you feel that almost that vibration that you'd feel in your foot in real life. I mean, that's...
Well, think on this. Think how terrifying it will be. So if you're sitting, right, you're sitting down, you've got like a really good steering wheel, and you're in like Forza Horizon, and you do a massive crash. That'd be absolutely terrifying.
I know, it would be.
Can we actually do this? I feel like that's kind of too scary.
I know,
too much.
Yeah, it's too real. Coming this holiday season for the low price of $150,000 is your Forza Horizon VR game. It's like...
I don't know, you probably will be able to play these types of games with... There'll be an option there'll be like safe mode. Like,
if you go to crash, it just like fades to white, and then you're like spawn back in the car.
Something
or something
like that.
Yeah. But then that's fine. Like, I know it's slightly immersion breaking, but there's a point where there's too much immersion. But games like Beat Saber and stuff, I think the VR games that work best just now, and probably will for a long time, are the ones that you can explain in one sentence. It's Guitar Hero with lightsabers.
It's great. It's so good.
You're cutting fruit with katanas. It's Fruit Ninja VR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you're putting on the batsuit, you're throwing batarangs and doing detective work up close, and okay, cool, there you go. Just really basic things. Whereas like I tried Doom VR, tried Skyrim VR.
Doom VR. Surely that is just far too much.
I don't get motion sick in VR, but that was a lot. That was a lot because I put the free move on.
Oh.
And I could handle it, like I could do it, but it was definitely too much. It wasn't the way to play it.
But this is, and so I would be...
Sorry, VFR. I do apologize.
And I would genuinely, I would love to play some really high quality like horror stuff in VR, because obviously I'm so into it that I'm willing to just make it so damn real.
I'm willing to shit my pants.
But it has to be tailor made.
Yes.
Like I do not want to use a stick to move. It just doesn't work. I get such a strange, like tingly, surreal sensation that is just... I get that. I can't do this.
So are you thinking that's maybe something that's quite almost...
it would have to be scenes or sequences where you're not moving.
You're like locked in a chair, like as part of the horror.
They've got to get creative with whatever this setup is.
Yeah.
And obviously there's VR games that are doing it. Mm-hmm. They're trying really hard. Which is admirable.
Trying.
And I think, it will be the kind of natural step forward with the likes of PSVR 2 when it comes out, because
Yeah.
I think they're saying 4K in each eye.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's 8Ks.
Well, I mean, it's obviously still technically
I know it's
4K,
still 4K.
but that's like, wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because it's 540p, this one.
Yeah.
That is an enormous jump.
Yeah, I'm definitely like, if this...
And the controller's like really cool. Like,
with
there'd
the
probably be
full finger...
haptics and
yeah.
stuff going on, you'd
I've
imagine.
got the same adaptive triggers from
Yeah.
PS5 as well. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get two. Like
That could be finally my entry point into VR, because there's just going to be some incredibly immersive, interesting, fantastical experiences.
Well, they're also-
you can only have in that helmet.
That's it. They're also saying that because the PlayStation VR is really good, but it's such a hassle to set up and leave set up because there's so many cables. Whereas I believe this is just plugs into the front of the PlayStation 5 and that's it. Ready to go. I don't mind it not being wireless. I don't need it to be, but you don't need to set up a camera from what I'm hearing as well.
It'll all be tracked.
It's all tracked in the headset. And there's you know it tracks between the controller and the headset as well.
And you've just actually made me think of something very relevant. And so just talking motion tracking in itself is going to be such a thing, because not only when it comes to the VR side of things, actually within like the audio as well, because you know, spatial audio is becoming more and more of a thing. It's kind of crappy just now still as it stands. I mean, I'm basing that off of PlayStation's one. It's just not that good.
I've watched a snippet of a movie on my phone, which is obviously not the way you want to watch it, but with the AirPods Pro, where you know, you put the phone in front of you, obviously, or you know, whatever your screen would be, and then you like, I'm sorry, what was that? And you turn like to one side, and then the whole sound just goes, you know, to one side, which is quite cool. Like, because obviously that's set in front of you, so. Much like if you had speakers in front of you, you would turn around and it would do that
totally
in real life, you know. So
I think
it's a cool sensation. So I like to see the promise.
It's going to get there now. Whether within this current generation, PlayStation are able to implement a better version of it that includes tracking and just a greater fidelity of positional sort of rendering and all that stuff, I don't know. It will get better, but it's currently not something that matters all that much. You can still have a perfectly good,
of course,
aural experience.
Aural
with a well mixed whatever.
Games
stereo.
like COD will really benefit from that, though. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, just knowing exactly where every sound is.
Tailor-made for gaming.
Yeah, it is.
And just kind of interactive experiences. So
it's a very good one. So we're
bring it on.
Bring that. Yeah, any that we finish with. Bring it on. Just we're ready for it. What else have we got here? So, do you? Well, this is a wee bit now. We'll skip by that because we've kind of spoken about that. That's fine. Never mind. Matrix social innovations. Well, we can talk a little bit about that because obviously you mentioned just before we started your biggest kind of social innovation. When you think that, you're thinking couch co-op first of all. You know, to then Xbox Live, your online gaming. What is the future of social interaction in video games? We've seen some, instances of people doing it interestingly. We see what big robot Mark Zuckerberg wants to do with his metaverse and things like that. You know,
I think there's just going to be a lot of different avenues that will merge together to create an overall more fast, streamlined. Everything's going to be interconnected. Yeah. In ways that, you know, you can't even sit and really think what that means just now, but it's kind of already on the way to happening. Like, in a very primitive sense, like when they would start to integrate, you know, your social media channels into your, you can, look, there's your face in the game because you brought your profile in, and it's going to be like a really advanced versions of that where everything is like interconnected with everything, and everything will be totally accessible, streamlined.
So what you're suggesting is we actually peaked with the Tony Hawk Underground photo placement character model thing.
That just So, and yeah, I went and for the two people that may be connected to PSN on the PS2 to show that off somehow. Because I think you could do Tony Hawk's Underground multiplayer online on PS2. I think that was a thing.
That I'll tell you right now, that never, ever crossed my mind as a possibility when I played PS2. I did not know that there was peripherals that you could Ethernet. I didn't know that online gaming could, it was the 360 and the PS3 that ever even made me twig that you could do that. Because even on PC, like Unreal and stuff, like you were playing online, that was, it didn't even cross my mind as a possibility. Do you know what I mean?
I think
so what are we now, what can we not even imagine just now that in 15 years time from now, it's just going to be second nature, because online multiplayer is second nature now.
Like everything will just become so effortless and with a click of a button. Like you'll be on your so we're talking in 10, 20 years time. You'll be on your PlayStation app because your TV will just be able to do it.
Of course, your
consoles won't even be necessary.
TV. What? Who's using a TV anymore? Says 20 years from now, Sam.
Or whatever it is. Like
I have OLED eyeballs now.
All houses will just come with integrated fucking OLED sheets on the wall. Like, I don't know.
I want my wallpaper to be this now.
And it's just like the screen or the window into life or something.
As we now know it. Ready Player One.
But yes, I think also, Google Glass is also a thing that exists still today.
Yeah.
Like glasses, that like what everyone used to imagine as a total futuristic thing. Oh my God, I can access things in my eyes and do things.
For the everyone's an audio listener, we're currently gesturing rapidly to fake glasses on our face.
Well, because you can go down the rabbit hole from here in terms of, we're all just going to be implanted with chips where we can just see the interface in our eyes, and it's all in our eyes. Like, it's not even a headset anymore. It's just, if you could just switch on like game mode in your eyes sort of thing. But that's, extremely far away, if that's even possible.
Or, to bring it back full circle to what we played today, or I played this morning, we're just going to be in the Matrix, or we are already in the Matrix.
Oh God, this has taken a turn which was possible, but...
Welcome to Conspiracy Theorist Podcast. We are
rebranding from this moment on.
Not so casual theorists here, so...
Just get Joe Rogan on.
I don't have the energy for Mr. Rogan.
Fanny Boz.
Mr. Joseph Rogan.
What's
the deal with dolphins, dude? What's the deal with dolphins?
Enough of him.
Anyway.
What the fuck? Oh my God, we lost track.
We did. Sorry, that was
kind of. It was interesting though.
Sorry. That was definitely my fault.
We did have quite a good realistic point that we were on.
Okay, so it is
online social stuff.
Social stuff, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, online multiplayer being a huge step forward. Where does online multiplayer go? Obviously, going back to VR, you've seen VR chat rooms and things like that where you can interact. That's kind of
PlayStation Home was a thing,
Well, the rumors are that PlayStation Home's coming back with
for
PSVR
VR too. Yeah.
So things like that, but it needs to be. You need to be able to do more than just meet people in these areas. I think for it to really be like something that people would actively seek out, because a chat room
to sound like Black Mirror.
Well, I think so. No, but I'm not saying that that's what I want necessarily. But for it to overtake traditional gaming in any way, shape, or form, it would need to be something that is. You don't just go to like. It's not like bar sports VR or whatever, where you just like play pool and throw darts with like a floating like avatar next to you. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to stop me to playing God of War Ragnarok. You know what I mean? Like that's,
yeah, of course. Well, I think I kind of had a point like this where you will clearly separate these types of experiences, because I think the traditional sort of sit down, just enjoy a really good game with a controller is not going away anytime soon.
No.
Which is good.
Yes.
And we can talk about how the direction that will go in. And we kind of touched on it, I think, already, where everything will just be streamed and through a service.
Yes.
You know, Game Pass is kind of trying to.
Are you happy with that future?
Well, I mean, I think if it works flawlessly, then sure, why not?
Yeah, it just needs to be flawless.
I'm not willing to compromise on, you know, like the sort of fidelity and kind of. Yeah, like if the best version of something is still, you know, playing it natively on a console and that's what it takes, then that's what I'm going to do.
I agree. Like, you know, you see people, you know, that don't have any issues with streaming games on PlayStation Now or something like that, and you know they've got the Virgin Fiber broadband that's only in their area or something like that. That's good on paper and it works for them, but what happens when everyone has access to that? Will it stay as fast? Or are we then kind of just back to square one? It's faster than what we've got, but it slows down when everyone's using it. I don't know. I don't know the technology.
It seems like it just... There's not going to be one seismic leap where they suddenly just one day say, right, okay...
Everyone has...
Your TV can just do this now.
Yeah.
Easily. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a gradual process.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether... Will it be that you can download games onto TVs because they will be powerful enough, or will it just be that streaming becomes so?
I think it would have to be streaming.
I think so. Mm-hmm. You have to think it will eventually get to a point where you don't notice that there's any form of compression; it just goes away.
Yeah,
essentially. They'll maybe come up with a way to do it to beam uncompressed stuff over the interwebs, and it just works.
But it would need to be that.
Yeah.
It can't be a compromise solution.
Well, we don't have the bandwidth yet.
No, we don't. Certainly don't. Okay, so you know what one of the examples that kind of came to mind socially was obviously quite a little bit different than, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, and anyone that's played it will know. But it's how the social elements can affect single player games as well. So obviously, my most recent example being something like Death Stranding,
which I want to play again.
Nice.
Still.
Death Stranding having a multiplayer aspect that's not intrusive, that helps. You're not coming across that other player. You're not seeing Norman Reedus number 42 walking in front of you. You know, it's that a ladder's been left behind by another player in that server, or you know, you can contribute materials to build this road. That means you can just drive this whole expanse.
I mean, it's important to note that Demon's Souls did this first.
Of course, yeah.
10 years prior.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, obviously I've not played it, so.
But Death Stranding, you know, obviously did it in a kind of a little bit more of a refined and subtle way. Mm-hmm. It's not quite as on the nose.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no,
so it's hard to know where do we go from there in the single player realm. Who knows?
Stuff like that. But I mean, I think
it's not. I'm not the mind to think of it.
No, I know. Well, it's a weird question because I hope that we still keep getting pure single player experiences.
Yes. Yeah. Link to your Facebook account. I remember when Richard, my work, getting all the shout outs here, but he was deep in the Death Stranding, big Metal Gear fan, deep in the Death Stranding Reddit theories before it came out.
Yeah.
And I think he enjoyed Death Stranding, he'll say that himself, but I think he probably jumped in too much because just expectations got the better of him. It is a Metal Gear game, it's going to be a Metal Gear, this and that, and it obviously wasn't. But the...
more like Meta Gear.
Nice one. But yeah, it's... there was the rumors of like, oh, you're gonna have to link your social media accounts, and then like in the middle of the game, Norman Reedus is gonna turn around and be like, "Hello, Sam. Age 16 January birthday. That's my birthday, everyone. You know what I mean? Like, but
you make fun of it though. But I actually think that will be more of a thing.
Oh no, I think it will.
Saying.
I think it will be. But it was just like I think that's where everyone thought that was going to be when he was talking about the social elements. But I think as soon as you say social elements, everyone's mind just goes, okay, so social media. because it shares that word. But no, it's not necessarily that. But yes, I think that's that was kind of what I wanted to bring up was
those kind of experiences will be there for those who want them, that want to integrate and be willing to give up personal information to probably shape characters.
Yeah,
I'm imagining a game in 5 years' time in PSVR 2 where it's like, some multiplayer thing and you're all in there and it's meant to be you. So they take.
They take your likes and interests. So
they take things.
You're playing VR and there's you're playing as your avatar and the love interest is on the screen ahead of you. Oh. Wait a minute, my favorite band is Yes too.
Maybe not quite as
Oh my goodness! And then you just become this dork that sits in your house all day, just like I'm going to go visit my virtual girlfriend. So
me-hi. Well, I'm thinking of some sort of like sci-fi thing that does it in a ways that you wouldn't even expect. Like it shapes character creation for you as the game progresses based on your own, I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah, No, it's definitely kind of where I go. In terms of what the technology could allow for pure single player games, we can kind of go to that. That would be more like, what could enemy AI do to innovate? What could a team do with enemy AI that would make you, go, oh, that's really interesting. Like, again, the example that was brought up to me was that people found interesting, because I've been sort of talking to folk this week about this topic just to kind of get what people are talking about. Mm-hmm. Metal Gear Solid 5, apparently, again, I've not played it, but if you tackle every mission at night, they'll start to wear night vision goggles. So you need to adjust.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like what, enemy AI, that's just a random, thing I'm plucking out as a particular, but I think where could challenge be, because obviously Dark Souls are the hardest games, the Soulsborne games. It's just that the enemies are very hard to hit. They have lots of health and you have very little. Okay, but it's
pretty straightforward. Yeah,
that's damage. That's difficulty level. But what about a game that that does learn your playstyle through and through? There's the Marvel villain Taskmaster, who fights a superhero and then learns their fight style, and their powers, and then can fight them as them effectively.
Well, I suppose the what do you call it? What was the Lord of the Rings game? Mordor.
Oh yeah, Shadow Mordor and Shadow War, the really Nemesis cool. system as well. System. Yeah. So things like that, where there's this sort of almost memory, like these. I thought I killed you, you slag. I don't know.
I think this kind of really just ties back to, with more and more power and resources that are available to developers, there's literally going to be more memory available to layer in just, layers of AI. Because I think AI is probably the part of development that we probably can't speak too much on, because that's some nerdy, complicated coding shit there, from what I understand, and it's just gonna probably just become more and more lines of code that do more things.
Because you see, like, this game was great, but the enemy AI left something to be desired. 7 out of 10. So
there's a period where that just seemed to be every game.
Yeah, it's like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I'm going to stay in this bush and I'm going to whistle. And every time I whistle, one person will come over. I'll kill him. Then I'll whistle again.
Some rudimentary AI there.
You know what I mean?
And I think this is one of the kind of unspoken horn there.
Sounded like a creaking of a metal gate, like in a horror film.
I really hope that came through the mic, though.
I don't know if it will, but
probably not.
Let me recreate the sound. No, I'm just kidding.
And I think this is one of these other things that, secretly they go about their business being the best. Last of Us 2.
Yep.
That's probably. I think that's a good showcase for single player.
Yep.
Enemy. Okay, maybe your companion AI in Last of Us is kind of like, they run in front of them, but you can only make things so perfect.
Yes.
All right. And but it's just really cool some of the things that they make them do in there. You know, they kind of they make them seem smart anyway.
Oh yeah, oh definitely. I mean, okay, but that was a huge part of, like, you know, you watch any review for The Last of Us, and it brings up the enemy AI, and it was smarter, and you can't stay in one place for too long. They will flank you more aggressively.
It always feels like a dynamic situation.
Yes,
like your actions definitively dictate how a scenario will play out, and what they will say to you, and how they'll be more aggressive if their friend dies and stuff like that.
Which is just crazy. So you wonder. It actually poses a question. You chose the perfect game. Obviously, we would say so, but to showcase this. But you know, where does it go from there? Are we going to look back on The Last of Us Part 2 in 10 years' time and laugh at how rudimentary it is? Or Probably. Or are these innovations going to be so incremental now from now? Because it can't, maybe I'll laugh at me in 10 years' time, but it can't get much better. Can it?
I would say...
I don't know, like, this is the thing.
In terms of really fully realizing game worlds, detail, I think Unreal Engine 5 is quite a step up.
Oh yeah.
When those games start to hit, you know, it's kind of like, wow, you can actually really feel the difference here. But yeah, no, I think in general though, in terms of things like AI, it will be fairly incremental. Because that's just the way it is these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can imagine games just gradually, you know, the enemies that are your companions will just seem more lifelike, you know.
Yes. And it will kind of start happening before our eyes a little bit, you know, unnoticed, and there'll be a game that comes out where you're like,
I mean, I think there's probably things, they are the kings of detail in their own way, obviously, Rockstar. Despite the controversy they've gone through recently, they've made some bad decisions recently. Hopefully they get back on track. But even if you go back to GTA 5, you will see things that, you know, NPCs or whatever that will do in the world that have just been reactive. And it's stuff like that was even happening then.
Well, that's it, exactly. And I remember when when Assassin's Creed Origins came out, and they were like, the townspeople have their own scheduling and stuff, you know, the things that they do.
They had that in AC1.
I know. I was like, okay, right. Well, that's
same thing.
I'm running over them in rooftops. I'm not following the market stall bazaar dude, you know, around to see when he goes to sleep in the middle of the day, because that's what you've programmed him to do, and it's currently this time of day in this skybox, you know. Like, okay, is that where we want to put the resources?
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting.
They should have spent more time making it
good,
less annoying and boring and loaded.
Yeah.
Although Origins, is, from what I understand, is
the
least of those evils.
I believe that they've just announced, not to tangent too much, it's come out a DLC between Valhalla and Odyssey, of which characters from Odyssey turn up. And I was like, just what we need. More of those people.
Do you know what? I actually been thinking about AC again and forgot that you can't. One is not playable on like modern, like PS4. I thought it was. For some reason.
You can.
I thought I had a port, but it didn't.
No, you can play the 360 version on the Series S.
Oh, right. You have to buy it though, right?
Yes, but it's every time I've looked at it, it's on sale for £3. So
for some reason, more just out of sheer curiosity and like kind of research in terms of this is one of these things where it's been so long now. I kind of want to jump back in just to gawk at how far it's come, and just to kind of remember how novel it all felt at the time, and actually just how incredible it felt at the time.
I know, because that was obviously a huge innovation in its own right.
I watched a really
Assassin's Creed and
things. I watched a really good video. I think it was just a guy ranking them, or his favorites or whatever.
think that was recommended to me as well. So
Yeah, we spoke really well on the first one, basically being like, if this had just been a one-off, what a one-off it would have been. And it probably would have been remade by now.
yeah,
And it'd be kind of cool, actually, if they remade the first one. Just back to the roots, just, really drill down to what it did well. This is quite a tangent.
Yes.
I don't know why this is happening.
no, but okay, yeah, sorry. That's we're very passionate about wanting old Assassin's Creed back. We'll put it in any episode that we can.
Why don't we just do a full Assassin's Creed episode?
I think we should. No, I genuinely think we should, and just get it out and over and done with. I think that is on the docket for the new year. We are going to talk about every Assassin's Creed game.
All right.
Well, let's obviously there's no definitive conclusion. This is what the future of games is going to be. You heard it here first, folks. No, but there's some exciting things on the horizon. No, there's some interesting things. Obviously PSVR 2 being a sort of focal point. VR is kind of the obvious scapegoat answer to the question, what is the future of video games? Because it kind of is.
Well, I mean,
it's just going to be.
It's hard to think about other hardware innovations. Mm-hmm. Are we going to have? Because I always remember the Sims, or any of the various spin-off games.
The herbs and things.
You would always have, like the most expensive versions of like the tech or entertainment items you could buy were always like funny kind of futuristic visions of what they thought it was going to be like, and you'd literally have stuff like holograms coming out of a box.
Yeah.
So it's funny to think, well, is there going to be some? Well, okay, AR.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to, because you can combine that with VR and traditional stuff, and everything is just going to be really meta.
All the R's.
Yeah.
I would say.
Reality.
VR, AR,
ASMR.
Nice.
Well, to think how good that'll be in VR, I think.
Porn.
Obviously.
There's a ride in, or an attraction in Disney World called the Carousel of what's it called? The Carousel Progress, right?
Yes, of course.
And it's like the longest thing.
It's really old, right?
It's really old, but they keep updating it, right? Someone died on it.
Oh.
Because what it is it's a stage. It's a circular stage. It's a big circular building. It's a circular stage, and it's split into
is that the balls?
4 quadrants.
Big golf ball.
No, that's Mission Space
Oh.
or Spaceship Earth or whatever. I can't remember. That's Epcot. But this is in Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom, and it's a circular stage that's split into 4 quadrants. And there's a circular. You're in a sort of a cone shape. You're in the audience in the seats, and the seats spin round to the next section of the stage.
Yeah. So
that's what the carousel is. Someone died because they got caught in between parts of it. They weren't meant to get up out of their seats. Anyway, never mind. But it was made, and it was animatronics with a guy narrating and talking from like his chair and talking about like the innovations of that time period, and then I wonder what it's gonna be like tomorrow. It's a great big beautiful, and then they sing a song, and then the stage spins around as they're singing the song. And obviously it's purposely meant to be dated at the beginning because they're showing what life was like in the 50s, and then on and on and on. But they've obviously updated it fairly recently for the future section of it. Because it is like retro futuristic almost, but there's like, hey Timmy, what you get for Christmas, boy? And it's just this wee animatronic of a boy with like a VR headset on, going like, I'm playing in virtual reality and stuff like this. And it's just like, and that's kind of what it like ends on, and then it's a great big, and then they like spin away, and then you're out, and that's you finished.
Hilarious.
It's so good, like for the camp factor and all that. Like it's just amazing fun. But that's what they think. So
it's actually funny because I thought that was the story was going in a different direction, because to be honest, there's a bit of a parallel with rides and
Yes.
like mixed media rides, because obviously same deal. As technology advances, they will get more and more exciting and detailed.
There's a ride called Avatar Flight of Passage in the Avatar section of the Pandora section of Animal Kingdom, and it's always, without fail, like a 3-hour queue.
Of course,
everyone waits for it. It's a massive IMAX, massive screen simulator kind of ride where you're flying on the back of the big flying birds that they hook their hair in with. I don't know that film. They hook that, right, okay, sorry, quick aside, Avatar's weird. They hook their hair into the animals to ride them, but that's also how they have sex. So what we're saying is, for them to ride these birds, they're actually riding those birds. So,
Avatar, isn't it?
Avatar 2 is my favourite film, isn't it? So, how apt is that going to be when Avatar 2 actually comes out?
It really is my favourite film, you know?
Yeah. Much better than the first one. So, but yeah, it's this ride. It's always queued out. It's so immersive. It's incredible. It's this, the best simulator of all time. You really feel like you're in it. Mm-hmm. And we waited, hours, and this was in 2019. We'd had VR maybe for a year at this point. And Kerry and I came off going, I'd play Beat Saber and your mind will be blown if you thought that was amazing. Like, it was not that it was bad. Of course it's not. But we were like, nah, that just ain't it. Like, already in the home, we have more immersive things than this, which is kind of crazy. There's a production value to it, of course, but it's not worth the 3-hour wait, in our opinion.
No.
Yeah, there you go. But yes, the promise of that and the innovation and that. Also, very, very, as quick aside, but they're using video game engines to create TV shows like The Mandalorian in that the volume, using game cameras and photogrammetry and all this to create, so they don't need a green screen and the actors look like they're on a real set that they've created in a video game engine. So it shows the sort of the far-reaching powers of the medium that we so appreciate and enjoy.
Definitely. I think we're just generally speaking, because we love to be high level on this podcast, we're just kind of we're heading into a world where, lines will be blurred, walls will come down, options will be had, modularity will be had.
Oh. Hit me with those big words, Lewis.
I don't even know if that's a word, but
it is now.
Just, accessibility, interchangeability, meta stuff.
Yep. It's exciting.
Because other than that, it's like, there's maybe some hardware thing that we're just completely not even thinking of, and it's really obvious in front of our eyes, but I don't know what that would be,
The Wii 2.
Rock Band 5. It's really, really real this time.
Rock Band 5, and you...
It's so real you can get famous in it.
It's so real you can get famous. It's so real that you need to tune the guitars.
Exactly. Actually, probably if VR becomes more ubiquitous, they probably will, Rocksmith or whatever, they'll have like a VR mode where you're actually playing on stage, in the stage and the thing, and you're playing. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Because you could probably just, if you know the song, you're just playing with the real guitar like you can do in Rocksmith, you can just take away the UI and just pretend that you're playing a big gig. I'm surprised that's not been done yet.
There you go. You heard it here first. Trademark.
You could do that
Not
right
so
now.
casual gamer trademark on that idea.
Oculus Quest or whatever. I don't even know the current. Well, I don't know what the options are. I don't even know how they work or how they connect to the PC.
There is an Oculus that is purely
the Oculus Quest.
the Quest, which is quite interesting.
It sells quite well, I think, based on my shop.
Based on Argusness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice one. Well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
A very interesting conversation. I hope you all agree, but I found it very interesting.
It's a cliche, but we'll say food for thought.
Food for thought. Nothing is definitive.
Except the definitive edition of the GTA trilogy.
GTA Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, the patch.
So the physical editions were finally on sale today. I
So what you're
picked them up and I was like, it's here.
So what you're saying is Grand Theft Auto the definitive edition, Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, the physical edition.
It's on sale now.
On sale now at all mom and pop retail stores.
I think that, they've patched it enough where they can feel confident to go with that, but I don't know.
And will we get to a future where games launch in a fully complete state anymore?
No, of course not.
Because even everyone's... Oh, I saw it... we're at the end of the episode, this is a total aside. I saw some article from, I don't know, some stupid site.
Yeah.
And it was, is Halo Infinite proof that... And the delays involved in Halo Infinite and how well it launched, just wait, proof that Cyberpunk should have delayed the game. And I was like, hey, do you remember that Cyberpunk delayed the game about 5 times? And also, do you remember that Halo Infinite has not launched in a complete state? They released a beta version of the multiplayer. Then they released the campaign that doesn't have co-op at launch. They don't have Forge at launch. They don't. I'm like, what world are you living on where you think that this is the complete Halo experience? It's not. It might be amazing, but it's not. It's not got franchise staples at launch. It's an incomplete game still.
Well, I think that, to be honest, that kind of feels relevant to some of the themes that we've touched on in terms of, it's a very dynamic world that we live in for gaming these days where you don't quite know what you're going to get at any given time.
Yeah.
Might be patched in, might not. You might get this feature. Don't know. It's all very staggered. So
anyway, quick aside. Thank you very much for listening to episode 20. Next episode will be sort of roundup of 2021 and our favourite games that we played and gaming memories of the year. Sort of just wrapping things up, a nice wee easy sort of chatty episode. And then we will see you there. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
bye.